I mean, I really want to talk about Death Stranding real quick.
Yeah.
I spent some time with this game. Now, again, for folks that are uninitiated with some of my previous history with this game, it's not very wide. I've only played this game for, I don't know, probably like an hour or so, if that, forever ago when it came out. And then I just recently picked it up again. I've owned the digital copy, so I didn't have to buy it or anything, but reinstalled it. It's kind of trending right now with the director's cut coming out soon. And I was like, you know what? I'm just ready to play this game. I don't know what it is. I just am. I'm going to run with it. I'm not going to question it too much. And I feel like I owe it to myself given the fact that it's a Kojima game.
Mm.
And what I can say so far is it's what I remember playing, because obviously I played the same opening sequence again.
Hmm.
So a lot of it was familiar, but a lot of it I didn't remember. And I forgot how, and this I actually quoted this in my notes here. It's a very haunting yet fascinating experience. And the reason why I say this is because it really is a kind of a frightening game. Like it's kind of being, or it's kind of like being trapped in like this really weird, bizarre nightmare.
Mm.
And it's because all of the things that are happening and all of the images and the sequences that you're witnessing are just really strange. It's a very strange game, and I really have no idea what's going on.
Mm.
For example, the game starts and you're watching Sam, who's the main character, Norman Reedus, that you play. His name is Sam Porter Bridges, and he's on this really cool bike, like
Hmm.
this futuristic looking bike, and he's driving through the wilderness, like pretty much like a mountainous kind of landscape, very similar to Shadow of the Colossus in a lot of ways. Like it just reminds me of a really sort of barren, overcast sky version of Scotland. And there's music playing, and you're like, all right, this is kind of neat. I don't really know what's happening, but all right. That's definitely Norman Reedus. Like, even if you don't know who he is, you recognize his face because they did such a good job with the mocap and everything.
Yeah.
So this is happening. There's kind of weird music playing, and eventually, it starts raining. You lose your bike. It falls off of a cliff, and you start learning the controls. And immediately, you're just like, all right, I've got packages I've got to pick up for some reason. I can store them on my back, or I can hold them. And I've got a hood on. It's raining. I've got a weird device. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to run around and try and follow the tutorials. So that's kind of the opening of the game, and eventually you look for shelter and you see this sort of cave opening, and you get to the cave and you start hiding from this sort of invisible monster that shows up where you can only see footprints. And it's really eerie because each footprint that kind of hits the mud, you'll see it form in the mud, and then these sort of talons come out of the end of the sort of fingers, or like the feet, like your toes, like the toes of
Right.
these feet that are pressing into the mud. You see like these talons kind of pop out. It's very strange. So you know that this thing is kind of sinister.
Hmm.
And you have this other woman who's there with you, and you don't know who she is. And you guys are both just like hiding in this cave, trying to stay away from these footprints. And this is literally happening within 5-10 minutes of the game.
Mm.
So you don't know what's going on. You don't know what this invisible monster is, if it even is a monster. But all you know is that you're hiding from it. You have a conversation with her. You don't really know who she is quite yet. She knows who you are. And you sort of had this weird introduction. She leaves. And then you pick up a few more packages and you make your way to like a weird sort of home base area.
Mm.
And once you get there, you drop off your packages, you complete your first sort of prologue mission, and then all this like crazy shit starts happening, and you start like learning about other characters and beings, and you get picked up by this dude in a really weird, tall pickup truck that can go up and down like sort of hydraulics, and you take a ride with him, and all this other crazy shit happens. He starts stabbing himself. He gets eaten by this giant, huge being. Like I don't even know if it's a monster. It's just this giant figure that's
Hmm.
probably taller than, I don't know. Like if you stacked the World Trade Centers when they were formerly still there, and you stack those like 5 times up,
Hmm.
that's how tall this thing is.
Oh wow.
And that's driving the pickup truck gets consumed by this thing.
Okay.
I can't even explain it because like what you're seeing you can't even comprehend. Like there's a weird hand on the top of this thing's head that swallows him whole, and as he's going up he's stabbing himself, And I'm just like, the fuck is going on in this game, man?
Yeah.
It is like an absolute mind fuck. So it's terrifying, it's haunting, but you're also fascinated by it because you want to understand what's happening. And that for me right now is keeping me engaged. And I don't really know who anyone is. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm collecting packages because I'm too early on into the game.
Mhm.
But I don't care, man. This game has me kind of caught. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if I care to question why. I just want to play more of it.
Mm.
And I really don't want to distort that. I don't want to question it too much. I just want to run with it because I don't want to fall off this wagon.
Okay.
Um, but right now, I'm pretty sure I'm carrying my dead mom or some shit on my back. So that's kind of where I left off. And that is my first impressions of Death Stranding.
Have you gotten the baby yet?
I mean, sort of, I think. Like, I got to that famous scene that you see in trailers where, Sam is on a beach, he's naked, he's holding a crying baby, he's crying, the baby's crying. You're staring off into the ocean. Some weird lady in red starts walking out into the ocean. There are like dead whales and shit washed up on shore. There's weird, like, strands of blackness that are coming from the sky, and then it eventually says Death Stranding. It is by far the strangest game I've ever played, and I've only played, I think, only an hour or so. I wasn't counting, but like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. And I know it's kind of like a weird, potentially poor first impressions review, but that is literally what I've experienced. I
Mm.
cannot describe it in any more detail.
In
But I
yeah.
am excited to discuss more with you.
In the
This game sounds terrible, Dave says.
yeah, epic outro in the chat there. I got to agree with him, honestly. um, I don't.
But it's not like I wish I could explain it to you, Dave, but there is something really fascinating about this experience, and I know that it's probably I'm not doing a great job selling it, but the visuals speak a lot for themselves because they're really, really good. It looks like
Yeah.
a next gen game when it was originally on PS4. And I don't know. I'm kind of excited to experience this sort of hiking simulator that people kind of compare it to.
In Catalyst is ad, Kevin says, "Sounds like a fever dream. You feeling okay?"
Yeah, like it's kind of like do you know the artist Salvador Dali?
Of course, yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like there's a lot of potential references to his work or maybe some inspiration from what he's done.
Okay.
I don't know, man. It's just a wildly disturbing experience, which is typically not a game that I would ever go near.
But it's
But
Kojima, so
it is Kojima, and I don't know, man. I want to spend more time with it, and I think ultimately it really just boils down to wanting to understand the experience and wanting to understand what this gameplay is going to be like.